Hi, my name is Nolan Walley, and I'm here at the world premiere of VHS Beyond at Fantastic Fest. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
We're a student org at UT Austin.
Awesome.
The first question I have for you is, there's so many elements that I imagine are so challenging about making not only an anthology project, but also a found footage project. What's the hardest part about filming something like this?
It's something you have to make sure you tread the line with it being interesting, with it being kind of cinematic in some ways, with it being very exciting, but also adhering to what the sort of interesting sort of boundaries you create of found footage. And I think that's very exciting because you're kind of also putting some rules for yourself, and you're going to play within that sandbox, and that kind of challenge makes you think creatively and think of new ideas.
I would just say the limited days that we had. So there's a lot to do in a short amount of time, but otherwise it wasn't that hard. It was really fun. It was fast paced and exciting, but I would never describe it as hard. It was really fun, and it was very collaborative and great cast and crew, and we were all really felt like a real sprint. We had 4 days to shoot it, and from the time we wrote it to now it was like a few months ago. So, which is sort of unheard of in this industry. But it was really fun, really fun.
The hardest part about making my film was condensing it down into 20 minutes. I had so many ideas and so much joy. I love found footage. Some of my favorite horror movies are found footage, and so I felt very excited by the prospect of using that medium. And VHS is so much their answer, like the team at Shudder and the team at VHS, their answer is almost always yes. Can I have blank? Yes. And so getting all of that freedom, I had to really define my own boundaries so that my art had room to make friction.
The hardest part is the practical effects, and ours is loaded with stuff because you just have to it takes time to make them look right. Because puppets, suits, creatures, makeup, prosthetics, all that stuff likes to be shot certain ways. There's certain angles that you would never want to see even the best special effects of all time in. You see a zipper, you see a seam, the leg bent this way. So that's the hardest thing is dedicating the time to make sure that you're nailing that stuff.
When did you decide to go practical? Was there an argument over going CG, or was it always this from the get-go?
No, always practical. Yeah, no. CG is great and all, but it should be used for subtraction as opposed to addition as much as possible in my mind. So it was never there was never a debate. And it's VHS. The fans would kill me. So we can't do CG.
You were the director for Fur Babies, correct? What can you tell us about this? I'm already hooked from the title.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but it's about a woman who owns and runs a doggy daycare business out of her house, and everyone knows someone like this. She's a woman who loves dogs so much that maybe she loves them more than humans. And we thought, what would happen if there was someone who actually legitimately loved dogs way more than humans? And this is kind of what happens in this story.
The segment I directed is really about if everybody does everything absolutely right, that can be the horrible thing that happens.
Well, we were kind of lucky because I directed a series called Cursed Films for Shudder, and while I was making that show, I had received an email from someone saying that they had footage of an alien encounter. And I think they were thinking it would be maybe good for Cursed Films. So I kind of held on to it, and then when I was approached about this, I thought making a documentary about that footage I received and whether or not it's real could be an interesting approach. Formally, it is more like talking heads and more of a traditional documentary, but also the footage that we discovered. If people believe it is what it's purported to be, then it could be the first, evidence of an alien encounter on Earth.
Now, what can you tell us about your film specifically? What will make it stand out among the library?
I think it's going to stand out because there's a video game kind of quality to it. And I don't mean that video games are part of the plot or the story. I just mean that the style was very much inspired by Doom and Resident Evil and Dead Space, and that immersive, haunted experience is what we're trying to have. So I think hopefully what ours will stand out is that it feels very, very fast-paced.
What went into recreating Bollywood for your film?
I grew up watching Bollywood. I love Bollywood. I mean, these are movies I grew up on. And when this idea when I came up with this idea, when we started working on it, I started rewatching all those things. And well, you know, when you're in India with an amazing crew, collaborators, actors, singers, choreographer, it just sort of comes together, you know. And it was a dream come true.
Speaking of the history of VHS, how did you learn about this series and what was it like to be added on to this amazing crew?
It's an honor. Genuinely, I'm sure everyone here is saying something similar. I don't take any of this for granted because, in general, I don't take this for granted because it's rare that this doesn't happen often. You know, you make a movie and you get to celebrate with other people. But I was a fan of VHS since, I first watched it on a Halloween. I think after, there were 2 of them out, then I watched 1 and 2 back to back. And then there was the hiatus. But on VHS 94, when I saw that, I was like, I'm floored. I really want to do one of these one day, but I didn't know anybody. So I was just putting that out in the universe, and here we are.
Well, VHS, I'm lucky that VHS came to my team, my management team and my agents, and my team called me and said, hey, did you ever want to direct? And I said, that sounds like a lot of work, and I'm very tired. And they said, okay, I'll talk to you later. And I said, bye. And then they called back about a week later and they said, they're still really interested in meeting. Would you want to do this? And I was going to say no again. And my husband, who wrote the short I directed, ran into the room and he was like, you're doing this. Yes, you should say yes, do it. And so I said, all right, I'll take a meeting. And then I started to allow myself to imagine having that kind of freedom. And once you see freedom, you can't help but run towards it.
So it was mainly my history with Shudder. Because of that Cursed Films, the show I directed, I think they felt that doing a more formal documentary wraparound could be interesting. So I came on board through that connection.
Well, I was speechless. I couldn't believe it. You know, it's like a dream come true. And I just have to thank our producers, Josh, the Shudder, for giving me an opportunity like this. I would say, you know, for any aspiring budding filmmakers who are like making their own work, putting stuff out there, you know, this is the kind of opportunity you wait for. And when you're lucky enough to get an opportunity like this, you just have to give it your best shot. And that's what I try to do.
Now, you directed this along with your brother, Justin Long. What was that process like? Were you butting heads? Did it flow perfectly?
It was great. No butting heads at all. We got along great. We've worked together a lot before, so we have a real shorthand and real, obviously, familiarity. We grew up together. But no, I really relied on him, and he relied on me in certain ways. No, but I love working with him. It was really fun.
The last question I have for you. Student.org, we're trying to get people to find out how to enter the industry. What would you say to someone who wants to be where you are right now as a director? How do you think they should try to get there?
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you this, but there are no doors. You have to build your own door. The industry has changed, and you guys have in your pocket a camera as strong as most people are shooting their first feature on. And so for me, my way in has always been making my own content. I started with Hush. I've been making my own content and collaborating with people I love my entire career. And so if you want to be standing specifically where Kate Siegel is standing right now, work with your friends and make cool shit.
I think making, a lot of making, not holding yourself up to standards that aren't achievable, but also not setting the bar so low that you're not challenging yourself. So I think just continually working, continually shooting and writing. And I will say, if you have a chance, get into documentary, at least for a moment, because editing and shooting a documentary will strengthen muscles that you will need for fiction and will potentially make elements of fiction look easy comparatively.
To get to where I am, you need to make your own projects and get seen. I submitted scripts and specs and emails and everything to agents and producers and all that stuff over the years. The only thing that's ever worked for me is making my own films and then getting eyes on that. But once you're there, then I think you have to treat people with respect, be a good person. No one wants to work, just be someone that everyone wants to work with. So work hard and make your own stuff and try to be generous and kind along the way, and it'll happen for you.
Okay, what's your name? Nolan. So I'll tell you this, Nolan, and your team, that just like the only advice I can give is just keep making stuff. I know sometimes that can be a very, there can be a long process and getting noticed for it. I have felt that also in the past. You know, we would make stuff, we would put it up on YouTube and hope that people watch it. And sometimes it can take time, but be in love with the process, keep doing it, and the right people will watch it. Okay?
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Nolan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want more like this, we've been to Everything Fantastic Fest, so our channel will have anything you need. Hook 'em horns.